I'm hoping to be just a small part of maybe, just maybe, keeping this one at the forefront of the public's consciousness. Teekah Lewis, born July 4th of 1996, would be 27 years old today, having just celebrated a birthday recently. But it's hard to know exactly where the story ends for Teekah and her family. Hi, Cassie.
Hi, Caitlin.
Hi, creepy people.
Hello. If you're new to our creepy corner of the world, this is PNW Haunts and Homicides, where we chat about true crime, paranormal, and all things creepy in the Pacific Northwest.
Yeah. And then at the end of every episode, we do a tarot reading so that we get a little bit deeper insight into our topic for the episode. So make sure you stick around if you're into that.
Yes.
We're back to doing that.
We're doing it.
Like normal.
Yeah. We're back to normal-ish.
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 Normal adjacent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sad anyway today, Caitlin, so this is the best time for you to hit me with one of your stories.
Yeah, this feels like kind of a double whammy, and I apologize.
It's okay. I'm already here. Everyone come down here with me.
Oh, boy.
Join me.
I'm going to start today's case by telling you about two other stories that happened nearby.
Okay.
Always good when it feels like there's sort of a backstory, right?
Yeah, I guess so, unless you're telling me about multiple murders. Multiple bad things.
Yeah. Listen, you know what you signed up for.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll start by saying that in each of these scenarios, we're discussing a parent's worst nightmare.
Okay.
Which, in case that wasn't already clear, is a child abduction.
Yeah, I kind of caught on to that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Thought you might be picking up what I was putting down.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah. Or in these first two instances, it's an attempted child abduction.
Ugh.
Yeah. A small 6-year-old boy was party to an incident in an arcade. His mother had been keeping a watchful eye on him. It was at one point when she was doing a cursory check on him that she was horrified to find a man bent down, speaking to her son and even holding his hand.
Ew.
I know, right away, that's just big nope vibes.
I don't have kids, but if I saw like one of my friend's kids with a stranger like that, fuck no.
I know. Nothing would get me flying off the handle any quicker than that, I think. She overheard as the man claimed to be the boy's father as she approached.
God, thank God she was there. Oh my God.
I know. Can you imagine? She confronted this man, and thankfully, security escorted him from the building.
Like, excuse me, you are not my child's father. I would know.
Right. You are not the father. The description of the man was vague, so we'll put a pin in that. But his pockmarked appearance is of note.
Okay. Like acne scars type of thing? Pockmarked? Like his face?
Yeah. So that could be either acne scarring or like chickenpox scars.
Oh, right. Yeah. I have a shit ton of chickenpox scars.
Oh, no.
I got a big old one on my cheek, whichever side has the hole.
Yeah. No, not like that.
Yeah.
No, you have one tiny.
Yeah. I have a bunch. All the other ones are hidden. But,
don't listen to her.
But you could see though how it could happen because I have the one, but if they're all over.
Yeah. Of course, it's incredibly lucky that the adults in this situation acted quickly. And I'm sure the mother in particular was incredibly relieved that her child was safe. Later review of those sequence of events, however, would reveal that though she had assumed the security personnel had called the police, they hadn't. And in fact, no report had been filed regarding the incident.
That's not good.
No.
That needs to be reported.
Exactly. Seems like that could have been a pretty close call.
Yeah.
And they should be aware of that if there's somebody that's attempting abductions in the area.
At an arcade.
Yes.
Like the security people at the arcade threw him out and didn't call the police.
Right.
Yikes.
Yeah. You might be interested to know that the second story involves a man matching this same description who was spotted at the Oakland Madrona Park. So a park, another kiddo central place, less than a mile away from the bowling alley where our eventual story takes place.
Ugh.
Apparently attempting another child abduction in broad daylight.
He's brave, dude.
I was just going to say, it's pretty brazen, right?
Yeah.
At a park.
Ugh.
In this instance, the child's father was present and also able to intervene. The father of this child chased the man off and was able to give a statement to law enforcement indicating that the man drove off in a blue Pontiac Grand Am, which really dates this specific story.
Yeah. Is that 80s or 90s?
It's 90s.
90s.
But yeah,
okay.
you could, safe bet you've got kind of a window of sort of late 80s, early
Okay.
90s.
I couldn't remember if you had
Yeah.
said the year when you were describing it.
I have not.
Okay.
But now that tells you right off the bat, right?
Mm-hmm.
Other details regarding the man's appearance have been reported as well. He was believed to be in his 30s, roughly with shoulder-length brown hair, a mustache, large nose, and, of course, pockmarks on his face.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Did he have a mullet? I just am picturing him with a mullet and mustache and yeah.
I know you are you start to really form that, like the sketches. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I've got a composite sketch that's slowly taking shape in my mind.
Yep.
Yeah. Both of these occurrences were believed to be attempted child abductions. Both pretty brazen attempts, if you ask me, which you did because you're here listening. So
Yeah.
that's like the same as asking.
I want your opinion.
Mm-hmm. Now, you might be wondering where exactly these incidents took place. Or maybe you're assuming somewhere in California because I offhandedly mentioned Oakland Madrona Park.
I didn't even put that together.
Yeah, Oakland. I was like, oh, California.
I was just hoping it wasn't my town again because
Yeah.
I'm over that. But
Yeah.
I knew it probably had to be somewhere Pacific Northwest.
Yeah. You were just hoping to put a little bit of distance between you and the child abductions.
Yeah.
Okay. I get that because I feel like based on height alone, I'm not out of the woods.
Yeah.
You know?
Seriously. People often think that you're my daughter.
No, they don't.
When I have my heels on.
Oh my God. But today, our story takes place in the third largest city in the state of Washington. Now, if that doesn't clear it up for you, that's okay, because I personally don't memorize all of these random factoids about these, Oregon and Washington cities.
Yes.
Tacoma in Pierce County is southwest of Seattle by just over 30 miles and nearby to the state's capital of Olympia by roughly that same distance. Some apparently know this city as T-Town.
Huh.
Though I've never heard it referred to this way.
I've heard of P-Town, like Portland.
Yeah.
That's what we call Portland. So I could see how they could get there.
Yeah, I've just never heard it.
Yeah.
Yeah, somebody in the one or another piece of source material said, oh, T-Town. And I'm like, nah, brah. I do not know T-Town.
It's just only people who actually live in the town can call it that.
Maybe. I have heard it referred to more than a few times as Compton.
Oh.
Which I'm sure probably many of us realize could certainly be seen as a problematic moniker for more than one reason.
Yeah.
But again, to be clear, we're talking about Tacoma.
Yes. And to be clear, we're not calling it that. It has been said.
Yes.
So we're just putting it out there.
Yes. I think I didn't do like a scientific test run on this, but I feel like if you were to Google T-Town and Google Tecumseh, I think you got a much better chance of returning a relevant search result using Tecumseh,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Ugh, dang it.
So I don't like that. But that's where our story takes place. It's been a major hub for both the railways and seaport throughout its history. But if there's one thing we know about well-traveled and connected cities of this nature, it's that for many, there's an almost implicit sense of danger. What you might not realize is that it's also known for its renowned Museum of Glass, as well as the home of the Washington State History Museum.
Well, that's pretty cool.
I know. I think so.
I would go to that.
I would for fucking sure go to that. Now, before I go any further, I want to acknowledge that relative to other cases, this one actually might be more well known than one would think. In fact, it's very recently been covered by a podcast friend of ours, Missing in the PNW.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And her episode features an interview with Teresa English. Put a pin in that.
Who dat?
Exactly. Well, I'm going to tell you, but not yet. I've sat on this case for a bit because of how deeply sad the nature of cases involving children tend to make me.
Mm-hmm.
Oddly, for someone who's typically not their biggest fan. But you can not want to have your own and still want what's best for children.
Yeah.
Two things can be true.
They're like puppies.
Yeah. But here we are, and today's the day. I'm hoping to be just a small part of maybe, just maybe, keeping this one at the forefront of the public's consciousness. Teekah Lewis, born July 4th of 1996, would be 27 years old today, having just celebrated a birthday recently.
Oh.
Yeah. But it's hard to know exactly where the story ends for Teekah and her family. I'm going to get into it before I start to kind of lose it here. Born to parents Teresa English, who is native Chippewa and Caucasian descent, and father Robert Lewis, who was African American, Teekah was the fourth child in her family. It was on a busy league night, Saturday, January 23rd of 1999, that Teekah was at the New Frontier Lanes in Tacoma, Washington, with some of her extended family. Her mother had twins and her 10-month-old in tow as well.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Teekah, meanwhile, was a quiet, shy 2-year-old child, but was being closely monitored by multiple family members. Her father was in prison at this time, which I state so that it's understood early on that he was not considered a serious suspect as it pertains to this case.
Okay.
Because I think it can be really damaging to the entire family when a parent sort of becomes a focus in these investigations.
Mm-hmm.
And it can be hard, even once you are officially cleared, for you to kind of regain your reputation.
Yeah.
New Frontier Lane's bowling alley was on South Center Street. It's a large bowling alley with numerous other activities in the arcade, as well as an eating area and bar. So, all around good old family fun.
I want a hot dog.
Oh, God, that sounds amazing.
I don't know why.
I'm not much for hot dogs.
Corn dog.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
Later.
That's where it's at.
Her family had rented out 2 lanes that night, number 7 and 8. Teekah was just a few feet away from her family members and approximately 6 feet away from the building's exit.
Oh, no. I don't like where you're going with that.
No. She was at a stage of life and of a disposition that rarely saw her venturing far from her mother. She was a serious mama's girl.
Oh.
Yeah. She was in the arcade playing what's widely reported as a race car game. Though drilling down a bit, most of what I've heard and read indicates that she probably wasn't actually playing the game so much as kind of just fiddling around with the controls and enjoying that as completely free entertainment.
Yeah, I could see that. I
Yeah,
do that still.
I know. I literally, Cassie, next sentence. As someone who isn't particularly adept with a good cross section of arcade games and is also sometimes an appalling spendthrift, I could be caught doing just that for a minute or two today.
You put a wheel on something and
Yeah.
it's free game.
Yeah.
Literally a
Tomorrow,
free game.
next week, you catch me not outside, catch me at the arcade.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At the barcade.
Ooh, the barcade.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. At any rate, I just thought that was a super cute detail with this story.
It was. It is. It was.
It was. It
It
is. It was, and it continues to be. Teresa was mere feet away and constantly checking on her daughter. She wasn't even actually bowling. She was just enjoying watching others play and, having a little bit of light conversation while she's keeping an eye on her daughter.
Yeah, it sounds pretty normal. Like that's what
Yeah.
you do.
I think so. But of course, I'm sure we all see it coming. In the brief moment that Teresa had her back turned to watch her brother take a single turn on the lane, her little girl disappeared. Teresa searched the entire arcade, which was situated near a side entrance off a portion of the parking lot. She was completely panic-stricken within mere moments because it can happen that fast.
That's crazy. He must have been like waiting.
Yeah. I mean, a presumed he.
Right. The
Yeah.
person. Yeah.
Yeah. No, you're playing very nicely into my hands here. Because she was so close to where Teekah was playing and had been making every effort to keep a close eye on her, she was able to act quickly. But because every second counts, the security officer immediately instructed everyone to stop what they were doing to look for Teekah. A search began right away when an off-duty police officer present at the scene, working as a security guard, made an announcement over the intercom system. They searched the premises, the bowling alley, arcade, bar area, and of course, the restrooms. When they realized she wasn't in the building, the search widened to the parking lot outside. As previously stated, it was a league night at the bowling alley, so there was a very significant number of people there. Ultimately, the entirety of the premises would be searched by multiple individuals, I'm sure what amounts to several times over, like the entire place.
Yeah, I could see that. There's so many family members there too.
Yes,
Yeah.
quite a few. It was reportedly just 15 minutes after the announcement was made by the security officer that a call was placed to law enforcement to report the disappearance. So this is happening pretty quickly after she's gone missing.
Yeah, which is good. It has to happen, but
Yes.
it's still.
Yes. I think most of us, even if you're not somebody who's super into true crime, you've probably heard some of the really stunning and horrifying statistics about how much time you have to find the child alive.
Yeah. I've seen Law and Order SVU.
Yeah. It was at about 10:30 p.m. that Teekah was reported missing. Teekah had only been missing for roughly maybe 20 minutes at most at this point. That's according to most sources.
Okay.
So pretty quick. When she went missing, her description was quickly circulated first to everyone already present at the bowling alley, and then shortly after to responding law enforcement. And then, of course, it expands outward from there. Numerous officers reported to this call, immediately commencing an additional search and investigation. Some patrons claim they never heard an announcement about the missing child.
I mean, are you always listening to the announcements, though?
I think that's probably part of it. I think there are some other details that, even if it wasn't right away, over the years, they've become a little bit disputed. And I think sometimes that can be just due to kind of a faulty remembrance, or sometimes, well, really in either case, somebody's faulty in their memory, right?
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of, which side.
Right.
And that's probably most of what I'm going to say on that topic. So again, it's possible they just missed the announcement, but there's also some that claim that they left without being aware that there was a missing child. And they also stated that, their vehicle was never searched.
Okay.
So it's hard to know,
Yeah.
to them, they may have thought, well, they didn't pull me over, open the trunk, and, make everybody get out of the vehicle. But maybe, law enforcement's doing just a cursory glance and they're like, we don't see anything suspicious.
Yeah. Can they search people's vehicles?
In that sort of an instance, I think that gets a little murky. I think at that point, they're probably leaning into very heavily, hopefully, people volunteering to, you know what I mean?
Okay.
I don't want there to be any question about whether or not I was involved. So yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
Look at my car.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just thinking back to those announcements we were hearing, even at Ghosts of Summer, where we're like, we can't really hear it because there's so much going on.
Yeah.
And it's muffly. But then
it is.
On the other side, if they're searching the entire place, you think they would have come up to almost everyone and been like, have you seen this child?
Right.
So whether they heard an announcement or not, you think that they would have known what was happening?
You would think. Somehow through osmosis, I feel like probably everybody, whether they heard it on the PA system or, they see people looking around, and I feel like everybody should have been made aware. I can't speak to whether or not that was carried out in the way that we would hope. I wasn't there. There's sort of conflicting accounts on that. I would say more so, like the older the case has gotten, the more that certain things have become a little bit murky, which is not the direction you want to go in.
No.
So again, it's possible that, people just missed or kind of forgot about certain aspects of the evening like that. But, it's, in many respects, it seems like in terms of what happened that night, law enforcement did show up quickly and they immediately took the child abduction pretty seriously. Now, whether they did everything 100% correctly, I'm not going to say. I can't. But the FBI and National Center for Missing Children would also both get involved with the case in an effort to return Teekah to her loving family. The case also made America's Most Wanted.
Shit.
Yeah.
Well, that's really good.
Yeah, it's amazing. Some of these things did not happen until the case was a little bit older.
No.
Teekah was about 3 feet tall and 35 pounds. She was last seen wearing a green Tweety Bird shirt.
Oh, Tweety Bird.
I know.
I used to draw Tweety Birds.
Oh, cute.
Yeah.
Can you still draw them? Will you draw one for the post?
Maybe.
Okay. She was also wearing white sweatpants as well as black and white Air Jordan sneakers.
Oh.
So, hey, girl.
She's like stylish.
I think so.
Yeah.
Her hair was pulled up in pigtails, though this many years later, it almost feels silly to mention. She's unlikely to still be sporting pigtails.
Yeah.
But, you just never know what someone might know or remember years later.
Yeah.
So even though I don't expect for her to be found still wearing a Tweety Bird shirt, I feel like those are important details to share, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. That night, Teekah was also carrying, get this, a clear purse that sported a fish design containing Starburst candies. Because, they were her favorite.
Oh, that is so cute.
I know. She's a young lady of discerning taste, clearly.
Definitely.
Yeah. She has a large birthmark on her left buttock.
Okay.
Sorry, Teekah. And red natural highlights in her hair.
Oh.
Gorge.
Wow.
At the time, she also had patches of light discolorations on her face and the left side of her, again, sorry, Teekah, but her buttocks as a result of her eczema. Though Teekah had both eczema and asthma, she was obviously well cared for and otherwise very healthy.
Okay.
I've mentioned this already, but her mother is of Native American descent, specifically Chippewa. So she sought both modern medical treatment and more holistic treatment options through tribal resources for Teekah.
That makes sense.
I love that. A blend of sort of that, naturopathic or holistic, however it kind of is categorized with, also understanding the benefits of modern medicine.
Mm-hmm.
I think you can stand to benefit from both. Teekah also had facial dimples and pierced ears.
Oh.
So, I'm fucked up about this one already because first off, this is a case involving a child. And also because she seems like such a sweet and adorable one at that.
Yeah.
So great.
Them dimples, man.
They get you every time, Now, while all of the information about what she was wearing and how she looked that night and at that stage of her life is incredibly key potentially to her case, it's also important to note that there are some concerning medical factors to consider as well. I mentioned Teekah was asthmatic and required medical supervision, as well as the use of an inhaler and or ventilator. At that age, for a lot of kids, asthma can be really serious. Super relatable. Same. And honestly, even as an adult, one of my worst fears is needing my inhaler and not being able to find it because the ADHD of it all.
Yeah.
She had received medical care prior to her 1999 disappearance at the Indian Health Practitioners in Puyallup, Washington, for both her pre-existing conditions. Again, that's, asthma, allergies. She also dealt with eczema. I know a lot of kids have them, but speaking from experience, both of those things, all of those things, they can be quite serious in some situations, particularly if left untreated. And unfortunately, at the time of her disappearance, the state of Washington did not have the Amber Alert system in place yet.
Oh. Yeah, that was one of my big questions, but I knew you were going to get there.
Yeah. It's just heartbreaking.
Because that could have helped.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The case that inspired the Amber Alert, I actually heard it for, I think, maybe only the second time very recently. And there's a documentary that was made about her family before she went missing. There was a documentary crew already following her family when she went missing. There is footage of Amber 20 minutes prior to her disappearance.
Why?
They were actually being followed by a documentary crew that was hoping to show what it's like for women that escape abusive situations and basically are trying to kind of start a new life for themselves and their children, and kind of what happens when you're able to utilize the sort of safety net protections in place in society. And I cannot talk about that one anymore. I'm just going to like start sobbing. It is the most horrifying and probably like underreported detail about that case ever. And
I had no idea.
yeah, I didn't either. I had no idea they'd already been being followed by a documentary crew. And I listened to a podcast about it recently. Maybe I'll link to that in the show notes so people can go and listen to that episode if they want. But
like if you didn't get enough with this, like, go right over and listen to that heart-wrenching story.
Yeah. The documentary was never released because the people that were involved in making it were not garbage trash goblins. And as soon as, they realized that Amber was probably not coming home, they basically scrapped it.
That's amazing.
I know, because you just can't fathom that that's how that would play out these days, to be honest.
No.
Yeah. Really, really interesting story. And that episode just really fucked me up because I knew I was going to be recording this one soon. So front and center as far as the old gray matter goes. The next morning, local law enforcement, as well as Teekah's family and friends, searched again. Both the inside of the bowling alley and the surrounding area as well, including a wooded area. Search dogs, including the famous canine Tunk, were brought in to assist as well, particularly in said wooded area.
Aw, Tunk.
I know. And I could go off on a tangent about Tunk, but it's not your day. It's, this is about somebody else.
I want to hear about Tunk.
I know. Maybe we'll do a little something where I just put together some of his exploits.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm down for that.
Yeah. Roughly 48 hours later, the police have a lead that at the time they considered very high priority. A woman called to state that she had pulled into the bowling alley around the time Teekah went missing and noticed a dark-colored vehicle pulling away from the scene at some speed.
Okay. Some speed.
Mm-hmm.
Is that like some speed or like some speed?
Yeah, no, some speed.
Okay, got it.
This was a dark-colored Pontiac. Described as either maroon or purple. Likely a late 80s or early 90s model.
Okay. Does that match the description of the other one at the park?
It's pretty close.
Was that one blue, they said?
Exactly.
Okay.
And I think especially at night, blue, purple, like that can be tough.
It is.
Yeah. Based on this tip and the unsuccessful search up to this point, police tried to access security camera footage from the bowling area.
They had security cameras? Damn.
I know. Well, only to find that there was none, prompting them to ask that anyone present in the building that night turn over any photos or videos taken that evening. So, no, there weren't. At a league night, there was a really good chance that someone might have taken a photo for the event that may have captured something in an image that could prove useful somehow.
God, wouldn't that be lucky?
Sure would be. Something, just anything that would provide them with something else to go on. Unfortunately, this idea did not bear fruit for the investigation. Teresa would take 2 separate polygraphs through the course of the investigation.
Teresa would?
Her mother, yes.
Okay.
Now, this is really important. Police have actually been very careful to state that this is not due to an indication of guilt in the first round. Okay? And polygraphs being what they are and unreliable as they are, it was just an attempt on their part to ask better questions. So she did not fail and then try to take another one.
Okay.
In any case, regardless of, how good or not good the questions were, She passed both times for what it's worth.
Okay, that's great.
And we know polygraphs aren't really worth a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Back then, I feel like they had a little more faith in them, though.
They did, yeah. I mean, it didn't make them any more valid, but they did put a little more weight behind them.
I feel like now it's just silly. It's just like for show.
A little bit. Yeah. It's interesting because definitely depending on the state that you're in, they may treat that differently.
Oh.
Yeah. That's that's some states' rights shit going on there.
Interesting. We were just talking about that shit, weren't we?
Yeah, sure were. Other family members also agreed to polygraph tests as well. Outwardly, they have clearly been a grieving and abundantly cooperative family, like everyone.
Sounds like it.
Which I feel like is really important for a case like this to make that really clear, because so often these things are treated as, oh, maybe it's a possible custody dispute or, it's a family member abduction.
Mm-hmm.
And it just does not appear that there's any possibility of that in this case. Along with some of the other heavy-hitting efforts that I previously mentioned, the FBI, America's Most Wanted, the Washington State Homeward Bound program plastered Teekah's image on Gordon trucks traveling all over the U.S. in 2009.
Oh, wow.
I know.
I didn't even know that would be a thing.
Oh, it's a thing.
I knew about milk cartons.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah.
I've never seen one.
I know. I think that's a little bit before our time.
Old school, yeah.
Yeah.
But that's how they got information out.
It really was. Yeah. I mean, it's an iconic image for a reason.
Yeah.
We may have to dig into that a little bit, because I think probably there's a lot more interesting history around that we may not even really be aware of.
Yeah, that could be pretty interesting.
Yeah.
I agree.
So that was along with other high profile or high priority cases at the time. No substantial updates in the case were produced from any of the tips that generated.
Mm.
And at that point, we're looking at already 10 years after she disappeared.
Oh, that's a long time.
It's a long time. And there were definitely a lot of situations where it was a situation of false hope, unfortunately.
Mm.
And some of those I'm not going to get into, because we may actually cover them in depth at a future date to be determined.
Okay.
Yeah. Every year, there's a candlelight vigil held at that same bowling alley for Teekah. Teresa even continued the tradition after the bowling alley became a restaurant years later.
Oh my God.
The bowling alley is now a Home Depot.
Oh, holy shit.
Yes. Yeah. And everything that I, looked at in terms of my research indicates that's still the case. If it has changed again since then, I'm unaware of that, but it wouldn't surprise me if, given another 10 years, maybe that is no longer there.
It turns into a Lowe's.
Yeah, could be. When it was built just a couple years later, investigators kept an eye on the property, suspecting it was possible that the construction may turn up remains.
Yeah.
Which is very, very smart of them to do that. Definitely glad that they did, but pretty much the worst case scenario and just very eerie. Of course, nothing was ever found on the property. Teekah's mother, Teresa, has since said in an interview with a local news outlet that she believes the current investigator will help her finally get answers.
So she's still hardcore looking.
Yeah. I don't know how intensive any of, the efforts are in terms, it's not an active search.
Yeah.
Of
I
course.
kind of meant her own, in
right.
her.
Yeah.
mind and body. She's like
Yes.
hardcore still searching.
It's definitely more of a spiritual thing, I would think, at this point. Yeah. But she's really, it's never left her mind. That much is very clear.
How could it? Yeah.
Of course. Yeah. And the most devastating part about it for me, how can you choose the most devastating part? But is that she had other children that she had to care for.
Yeah.
So how you find the way to like move forward and care for those other babies that you love, I don't know how anyone does it. I really don't.
Moms are like crazy strong.
Yeah.
All the
Yeah.
ones I know anyway.
Yeah. Despite her longtime hope that someone abducted Teekah in the hopes of raising her as their own, what this detective that is currently working or tasked with her case has shared with her has led her to come around to the idea that he puts forth, which is that someone took Teekah with the intention of doing her harm. And I cannot imagine it's a combination of how can you be honest in a way that is kind, and how can you be brave enough to confront something so brutal and so ugly with the parent of a missing child. But you don't do them any favors by lying, right?
No.
That's a tough one though to face up to.
Yeah.
Could this be a case of a stranger abduction, a crime of opportunity? That same detective told her about the suspicious pockmarked man. His theory, as awful and sad as it is, seems to line up logically with many of the facts of the case to date, like the fact that Teresa thought that the side door was almost certainly too heavy for Teekah to have pushed it open on her own. Because that's another thing that investigators explored, and people helping with the search effort thought, is it possible, if maybe she wandered off, but if she didn't stumble out of her own accord and wander off, Teresa believes it would be next to impossible for someone to whisk away Teekah without causing a fuss. But maybe someone on an exceedingly devious mission that they had planned and prepared for, possibly including test runs, could have.
Ew. I see it though. It's all there. Like,
Yeah. And that's not to say that that's the answer,
yeah.
because we don't know. But as years go by and, some of these things have come to light, it increasingly seems like that's possibly the case.
Well, even more terrible, as we've all seen in the movies where they, put some sort of chemical on a cloth and put it over their face. And if she was
Right.
in kind of a seat car thing, I don't know if maybe no one would notice. And if he's just
Right.
got a sleeping child on him or her, I keep saying him
Ugh.
because we all know why. But
Right.
like, if they're just carrying out a sleeping kid, like who?
Right. Who's
no
going to
one's
question
really
that?
going to notice.
Right.
Yeah.
I totally agree. And it's the thing that it's one of many things that nobody wants to say about a case like this. Security guards were largely unable to identify other suspects in instances of child molestation and attempted abduction that occurred shortly before and after Teekah's disappearance. There was a vehicle reported in possible connection to her disappearance. So a number of different colors reported, but in this instance, maroon, four-door, late 1980s or early 1990s model Pontiac Grand Am with dark tinted windows and a large spoiler. Of course, you may recall there's also a guy who matched a very similar description for the man who was spotted less than a mile away from the bowling alley at the Oakland Madrona Park that we talked about in the beginning. But also literally at the exact same location, because the little boy at the arcade, that was this same arcade.
Yeah. I hate that.
I know. But are you thinking what I'm thinking? The pockmarked dude.
Yeah. The one that they didn't call the police on.
Uh-huh. But this trail, just like every other promising trail, appears to have gone cold in the ensuing years. One name you might hear in connection to this and other cases in the area is John William Black. He was there that night and was a sex offender who had previously tried to abduct a 3-year-old child from a different bowling alley in a different incident on a separate occasion.
What the fuck? He was there and they know?
Like, there.
Okay.
Yep. They looked at him very closely. And I will say this, he has not been directly associated in the way that's meaningful for those of us, listening or researching this case by law enforcement. But that's despite cadaver dogs hitting on a spot in his yard. Nothing was found, and eventually he was cleared. But that's a little, and again, there's a lot of things that we know a little bit more about, like cadaver dogs. That's a little bit of a point of controversy, depending on, I guess, who you ask.
I don't know very much about them. So
I know. I think there's a couple of things that probably we maybe need to do some sort of pinpoint, like really to show when we talk about certain cases and it seems like there's damning evidence, why maybe it's important for us to understand how some of the forensic and investigative tools, how they really work.
Yeah, take me back to forensics class, Caitlin.
Yeah. So I think, maybe we'll spend some time there on that coming up here.
I like that stuff. That's the part about murder that I like. Quotes, you know what I mean?
You could just say true crime.
I know. Murder spilled out of my head.
What are you going to do? There have been a number of times over the years that Teekah's family have been given hope as a potential lead has been discovered. Of course, eventually a psychic pops up, as they do, and that pans out exactly as you'd suspect, unfortunately.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah. There's definitely cases where somehow, one way or another, they're able to come up with something that helps along the case. But those instances are few and far and in between.
Yeah.
Then there's also the devastating instance that took place mere months after Teekah went missing. And this is what I was alluding to in the first place. That I'm going to touch on this really briefly, and this is rough. So if you're just not so sure about it, maybe skip ahead. You can reassess if at some point we decide to cover this case in full, but not a happy moment for us in this discovery. The headless body of an African-American child was discovered, and Teekah's family, law enforcement, it kind of seems like maybe this is it. Maybe now we found Teekah. And as awful as that is, maybe there's a little bit of peace in that, knowing that you have answers. I hate it either way.
Yeah.
I think we all do. But this would later be identified as a different missing child.
Okay.
So similar instances would reoccur over the decades that have since passed following Teekah's disappearance. And again, I'm not going to dig into all of those instances in this episode because it's possible that I may cover those cases or topics in a future episode. And Also, and probably more importantly, some of those leads were chased down to no avail or connection with Teekah's case. So while there are certainly interesting topics and aspects of the case and the investigation, with an unsolved missing persons case, I feel as though I want to focus on anything that maybe still has potential.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I also feel like it's a little bit of a disservice to a completely separate victim to only ever be mentioned as a footnote relative to another open case.
Yeah. Yeah, we've definitely seen that before.
Yeah. And that fucking sucks. I can't promise I'll always nail it. And I know that there are going to be times where we want to tell you about an aspect of a case and we're not going to go into it full depth. And, maybe at some point we get into those other kind of cases that are related but I want to do my best to give each individual their due, especially if their families are still waiting for answers. As sad as it is, in many of the other cases that come up in connection to Teekah's, those families have answers now.
Yeah.
At the time of her disappearance, Teekah's parents were split up while her father was incarcerated at the McNeil Island Correction Center after being sentenced to 4 years related to theft charges. Still, it's important to remember that Teekah's family was doing their best to provide a sense of normalcy and a strong family bond to all of the children. And again, I mentioned this because it's really important to know that the father is not involved in this. And, I don't know a lot about what his, previous criminal record entails beyond that. And I don't think it's important to the case. But again, it's like, I just feel like in a case like this where, what do we say? It's always the husband. It's always the parent.
Yeah.
It's not the parent.
Yeah.
Like physically impossible, not feasible in the slightest. So I hate that that is one of those things that you feel like you have to kind of drill home in a way.
Yeah. But especially, with a criminal past, you have to kind of be like, hey, just because they did a bad thing doesn't mean that they're going to steal their own child. You know what I mean?
Right. I do think that it's worth sharing because I do think that the other thing that I feel comes up in a lot of cases is people are like, well, why does none of the source material cover this? Or why didn't we know that about this person? They feel like they're being like details are being left out. And I'm like, well, if it's not pertinent to the case, sometimes that's just the way it's going to go. But her uncle had won her a stuffed animal from the claw machine that very night. Angel, that she seemed to be, Teekah had announced to her mother that she would give the toy to her beloved baby sister.
No.
That night in the arcade, she had several older cousins that were playing games very near to her as well. So, despite what some monster might have inferred based on what he assumed her nationality was, or the color of her skin, or all of the other potential for prejudice that comes along with any of those things, Teekah was not a child that would go missing without being noticed. She is missed. She is loved, as every child should be. Teekah's missing persons case was re-examined in 2020, and police provided an update about a previous statement by a teenager that was at the bowling alley that night. They made this statement public. Though he had come forward to police right away about the white man he saw that night leaving with what he believed to be a mixed-race child, he was not formally interviewed until all those years later.
Why?
Not sure. And I think we can speculate based on a number of factors. Attempts to chase down leads all over the country make Teekah's case the largest file on record with Tacoma cold cases.
Holy shit.
People have sadly even mistaken Tamika, her sister, for Teekah because she bears such a striking resemblance to her.
Oh, that has to be hard. Like, they definitely just think that they're helping.
Of course.
Yeah.
But it just feels like
Oh.
such a bizarrely sad insult to injury for that family and for her in particular.
Yeah.
But again, this family has remained strong in the face of a horrendous tragedy. Teekah's parents would eventually reunite and marry following her father's release.
Oh, that is so like opposite of
I know.
a lot of things that we hear.
Yeah. And I felt like I constantly had to defend sharing kind of the details about any of his criminal record. And now it makes a little bit more sense because, right? It makes a little bit more sense because after he's released, you know, they come together and they become this incredibly strong family unit that, I mean, to me, that is just, I feel like that speaks to character and values and just the love that the two of them share in a way that fuck everything else.
Yeah.
You know, if you're a longtime listener, especially, you might remember another child that went missing from the Tacoma area several decades prior. His name was George Warehouser.
Oh, okay.
Right?
I didn't realize that they were.
Throwback Thursday, blast from the past, my dude.
I feel like it's coming back to me when you were telling me about this, but yeah.
Yeah. If you're new to the show, but familiar with the name because you live in the Pacific Northwest, that makes sense. His story is of a child from a wealthy family kidnapped in 1935 and held for ransom. But his has a decidedly different and much happier ending than most of us would probably dare hope for in a case, especially one that's remained cold, or at least relatively stagnant for this long, like Teekah's has. The final item I want to leave you with regarding the case is this. Teekah's Winnie the Pooh jacket that she had worn the night of her disappearance is now one of the last vestiges, one of the only physical items, at least, allowing Teresa and the rest of the family to hold on to any sort of hope.
Oh, she had a Winnie the Pooh jacket.
I know.
And a Tweety Bird shirt.
Dude, she was rocking all the best cartoon characters.
That's sad.
I know. It's a tough one. I just feel like there's no good way to kind of come to a conclusion in a discussion about a case that we don't have answers.
Yeah, there is no conclusion.
Yeah. And there are so many other like kind of side tangents that we really could have explored as far as investigation, you know, what path that's taken over the years. And it's really interesting. Honestly, we probably could have made this like a 2 or even a 3-part series, but I would encourage you to listen to Missing in the PNW, the interview that she did, that Carmita did with Teresa English, because there are some other interesting details about people that she feels could be somehow related to the case. It's very interesting. Over the years, she's done quite a bit of different interviews and things, and you can tell that for her, this is almost like it just happened.
Mm.
It's heartbreaking. But
yeah,
she does have a younger sister that, you know, they'll never get to know each other. And I feel like that's super hard.
yeah.
I hate that.
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up.
Yeah. I know.
So yeah, well, I'm going to go listen to that interview. Not right now, but
Yeah.
probably like maybe tomorrow.
Yeah. Maybe give yourself a little bit of breathing room
Yeah.
on that for
But
sure.
I do want it to be like kind of fresh in my mind. So
Yeah. Tarot?
yeah, let's do some tarot. I think it's necessary now.
All right.
Okay.
Tarot.
Let's do it. Take one for the Ghost Wax promo intro. Ghost Wax is a horror fiction podcast.
It's about to be your new favorite. I said what I said. Hopefully, hearing it from me will encourage you to check it out.
Each episode follows the work of the last reclaimer as he investigates a bizarre series of unnatural killings.
By raising the dead and committing their final statements to wax cylinder.
Each episode is spooky enough to please an aficionado of all things spooky, creepy, and otherworldly, like me, but also presented in a way that allows Caitlin to occasionally catch a wink or two of sleep.
I mean, literally a wink, but you might even recognize a few awesome, friendly voices from some of your other favorite podcasts. That's right. We know you cheat.
Ooh. It's okay. There's
kidding.
room for enough love for everybody.
Should we say something funny like roll tape?
Can you hear me? Good to have you back with us. I hope you don't mind that I am recording for investigative notes. It's a wax cylinder, the only thing we've found that can pick up the voices of people in your condition. My name is Owen von Sid. I am a reclaimer. Do you know what that means? No? Well, I am sorry to inform you that you didn't make it. Please try to remain calm. The worst is over. Nothing can hurt you, not ever again. But the thing that did this to you, it is still out there. That is what we do. I wake unfortunate souls, such as yourself, hear their stories, then my associates and I see to it that whoever or whatever did this to you is dealt with. Now, let's begin. When you are ready, tell me, how did you die?
Ghost Wax is an anthology horror podcast from Far and Tall Tales Productions. New episodes releasing weekly. Look for us wherever you get your podcasts.
You guys, we're back.
And don't worry, we did get more wine.
Well, of course.
Okay, that was it. We did a bunch of
good.
shuffling before.
Yeah.
Cleansing,
Get our
shuffling.
pre-shift.
Teekah.
Okay. I'm just going to feel it out. Okay. That one. And then I'm just going to grab this one just in case. I'm not sure yet. But I've got the 10 of Pentacles in reverse.
This lovely sign depicting how we're all feeling today.
Meh.
Meh.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. So you got the 10 of Pentacles in reverse. Is that what you said?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, did you look at this card?
I did not.
Interesting. Okay.
Okay. Let me see it.
Just read it.
Okay. Oh. Okay. Keywords are abundance, fulfillment, inheritance, good fortune, property, and family resources. The last of the pip cards in this suit, the 10 represents fulfillment and abundance. Oh my God. In some decks, the 10 of Pentacles shows a happy couple, perhaps with a child, observing their luxurious home contentedly.
Look at the little child they're holding.
Wow. I have
Yeah.
absolute chills. Okay. The card has connections with family, but also the legacy of inherited resources such as good health, intelligence, cultural benefits, etc. You have plenty and can now share your riches with others. So let's go to our reverse interpretation. You may be so established at this point that you're stagnating. Maybe you've retired comfortably and now just sit around watching TV. The reverse 10 of Pentacles can indicate problems with family members, perhaps frustration, disagreements, or responsibilities regarding a family business, property, or inheritance. In a reading about money, the reverse 10 can represent losses or debt, which may be related to family troubles or obligations. Or it can mean you don't inherit as much as you'd expected. Family feuds over money or property are possible. This card can also point to fluctuations in the marketplace or real estate values that threaten your security. Interesting.
It's interesting because you said they had such like a strong family
Yeah.
bond.
I mean, I think if we look at this and without even reading any of the additional interpretations, if we look at it just from the point of view that it's like they've been presented with such tremendous struggles as a family, I think that kind of makes sense to me.
That's true. Yeah.
If the reading is about your job, you may not be using your resources and abilities fully, or you may not receive the compensation and success you feel you deserve. A business, perhaps a family operation, may hit hard times. Sometimes this card shows you rejecting the material world for the spiritual one.
That could make a lot of sense too.
Yeah. Okay, here's where we get, I think, into the crux of it for me. In a reading about love, financial and or family problems may cause friction and unhappiness in a relationship. Responsibilities for children or elderly parents might place strain on you. Emotional baggage and old hurts may interfere with your happiness.
Well, I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
It's amazing to me though that they still got married through all of that. Like
I
they're
know.
obviously struggling and it's not a happy time, but they still like came together and
Yeah.
yeah.
It is pretty wild. And one thing that I don't think I really touched on this because it's in addition to the Gordon trucks that were traveling across the country. Teekah's grandmother, who passed away, I'm not sure exactly when, but a number of years after she went missing, she drove around with flyers, and she had, like, I think at one point even a poster of Teekah that was plastered onto the side of her van.
Oh,
Yeah, it's just, I don't know why, but the part where it says responsibilities for children or elderly parents might place strain on you. To me, I'm thinking, you know, when you have a child that goes missing, but you have other children at home, you have aging, elderly, potentially, you know, parents that have failing health at a certain point. The strain that puts on you when you're already going through so much, I feel like it's very representative of their situation,
yeah.
if nothing else.
Man.
That is so wild.
Was there any extra excerpts or anything? I have a few things once you're if we're done.
I don't, no, we don't have anything.
Just pull one out of your butt. I like those.
Oh, man. Well, I mean, I can pull up, oh boy.
Oh, well, okay. Let me see what.
Okay.
So this card, what I was seeing is this little person. It's just a little person. You can't really tell if it's a boy or a girl.
Mm-hmm.
They're wearing a yellow shirt. Tweety bird. Hello.
Oh.
And also there's, you know, there's family around her and stuff, but there's all these coins, which kind of remind me of like an arcade.
Wow. You know what? That's a really good parallel to draw. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
Wow. Interesting. Yeah, I think the other card that I was sort of torn between, I'm not going to go into the full interpretation, but it's the Seven of Swords.
Oh.
In the reverse as well. If you wanna.
Okay.
The keywords on this one are uncertainty, illusion, impetuousness, stealth, cunning, and strategy, which feels, I don't know.
Like the fucking fucker.
Yes. The person that takes your child, to me, that's
Yeah.
There's 2 extra excerpts with this. And obviously the imagery of this is very powerful with, somebody who's trying to balance all of these swords. So we have, be focused and thorough in planning your strategy. As Barbara Moore writes in The Gilded Tarot Companion, be on guard. Oh, or one of those swords he left behind will find its way into his back. Wow.
Interesting.
Does that feel like pointed? Like something you left behind is going to come and bite you in the ass? God,
Yeah.
let's hope so. Now, this part. I am so glad that I decided to turn this one over and just take a look at it after all, because this is a second extra excerpt and you're going to actually shit your whole body.
Okay. Too late.
Tragedy should be utilized as a source of strength. No matter what sort of difficulties, how painful experience is, if we lose our hope, that's our real disaster.
Oh, that's definitely her mom.
I know. Can you believe that?
Yeah.
Oh my God. I like every single one of my arm hairs is standing up. Look at that.
They
I have
are.
like goosebumps. Wow.
Aw.
I really hope that's true. I feel like that's between the 2 extra excerpts. I feel like it's like, don't lose hope, because this person still may have left evidence or, something behind. We hear it all the time. Somebody knows something. Maybe.
If you know something, say something.
Say something. God.
Say it, for fuck's sake. Open up that damn throat chakra.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I love that.
Oh, man. Well,
Are we ready?
yeah. Should I tell him the thing of why I was sad real quick?
Yeah.
I'm not going to go into it because I'll cry.
I know.
I'm sad because I lost my dog. So.
She's
Meh.
already going to cry.
My friend gave me this nice bracelet. It has a puppy paw on it and a heart.
Oh.
Yeah. And they also gave me a card. And then one of them was like a sunshine card. Yeah. Yeah. So I was like, oh, I like that.
Yeah.
It sucks.
Yeah. Yeah, it does. I've been thinking about that like so much in the last couple of days. It's hard. Yeah, of course. Of course.
It's hard. She was old. She was 9.5, but it was just like really sudden. It was something really sudden. So it wasn't really prepared for that, especially since I got like a 15, almost 16-year-old dog who's, we're like planning that end of life stage, prepared for that one, but not, this one we weren't quite prepared for. So,
yeah.
But it's okay. She's got brothers up there. She's happy.
Yeah.
Well, let's go before we cry
I
our
know, stop
faces
it.
out.
God. We have to go.
Okay. Have a creepy ass day.
See you next Tuesday.
If you loved listening to that tarot read and want to see it with your own eyes, become a member of our Patreon, where a video of every tarot read is uploaded with the ad-free version each week.
It is. We do that.
And we also do something else for our Patreon members. We also shout them out. So the first one we have is Michelle.
Michelle.
Hello. Hey, Michelle and the Creepy People tier.
Hey.
I almost said Creepy People Chronicle tier. That's not right. But if you want to send us a story, you can also be in the Creepy People Chronicles.
Yeah, that's true.
Yes.
Such an organic thing to add in there.
Shameless.
I mean, come on. Yeah, that's kind of our brand. We also are going to shout out a couple, maybe a few. Yeah, a few more.
A few more.
A few more. Hey, Sarah.
Oh, hi.
Yes. So these are some people that joined our Patreon in April. And it was like back to back to back.
You made us feel very, very loved and special, y'all.
Yeah. April showers, y'all.
Aw.
Yeah.
April showers bring Sarah flowers.
Aw. Bring May downloads.
Yeah. Next, we have Courtney, also in the Creepy People Chronicles tier. See, I actually said it wrong that time. You know what? We're just going to leave it. You can send us a story too.
It's fine. CPC for Courtney C.
It's just really hard to not say Chronicles after saying Creepy People now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Courtney with a C.
It just fits.
Yeah. I like it. We also have at the beginning of May, lovely Karen with a K.
Is this Karen from the Creepy People Chronicles?
It is, yes.
I'm sensing a theme.
Yeah, there is kind of a theme. It's totally unintentional.
Yeah.
I wish I could take credit for that in any way, shape, or form.
Very unintentional. My brain is absolute eggs and they're scrambled.
Yeah.
Sorry, Karen.
Perhaps a bit poached. I don't know.
Karen knows we love them.
Yeah.
Next, we have Danny, also part of the Creepy People tier. I said it correctly this time.
Did it.
Thank you, Danny. You gave me the strength to say words right.
Aw.
I appreciate you.
Seriously, more than you can know. All right. And last but certainly not least, we have a June joiner.
A June?
A June joiner. She joined us back in June. Her name is Kirsten.
I thought her name was A June.
A June. Oh, man.
Because remember that time you said a Bob and you're like, his name is not a Bob. So I thought you were doing another.
It's a bit.
A bit.
Yeah.
What was her name again? There?
Kirsten?
Kirsten?
Kirsten? Kirsten?
A Kirsten? A Kirsten? How do you say your name? Let us know. Send us a little voice thing.
I think it's Kirsten. It's Kirsten.
A Kirsten.
But she too has a C.
Oh.
I mean,
cool.
not in her first name. But.
Oh. I was like, I've never seen it spelled that way. And you literally just spelled it.
Yeah, I know. I was like, she's totally going to buy that hook, line, and sinker, even though I just said it was with a K.
You're taking advantage of my egg brain.
Yeah. Kirsten, did you enjoy that?
I hope so.
Oh, sweet baby Jesus. Let's hope so. All right, you guys. We'll be back with some more of those hopefully very soon. We're working our way through all of the Patreon subscribers, both old and new.
And if you want to hear your beautiful name come out of our beautiful lips, join our Patreon.
Yeah.
You not only get a shout out, ad-free versions of the episode, tarot videos, but you also get a personalized welcome card with a mini ass tarot reading in it, along with bonus episodes and so much more.
If you can't support us monetarily, no worries, because all of the easiest and some of the very best ways to support the show are absolutely free, like leaving us a review. I mean, it's no big deal, but like we both just had birthdays and that's a fantastic gift. So, if you haven't done that, head on over to Apple. Like we've said, if you don't use Apple, just download the app.
Yeah, we're going to milk this birthday thing through the end of the year, I think.
Yeah, probably. Like my birthday was just 3 months ago.
Yeah.
Come on.
Write me a review.
Yeah.
5 stars.
5
would
stars,
be appreciated.
Obviously.
You can also tell everyone and anyone you come into contact with about us so they can also listen to us and share in the fun.
Uh-huh. And then they can also leave us a 5-star review for our birthdays.
See how this works?
Yeah.
Just keeps rolling.
In 2025, we still have people saying they said in their episode back in the summer of 2023 to leave a review for their birthdays.
It's just always going to be birthday reviews from now on.
Happy birthday, bitch. If you have any true crime, paranormal, or witchy stories to submit for our listener appreciation episodes, also known as Creepy People Chronicles.
You may have heard.
Yeah, it's a thing you may have heard of. Please email us at PNW Haunts and Homicides, or you can use our handy dandy Google contact link in the episode description. I made it. It's in the notes. Go do it. It's also on our link tree, I think. Do it.
Our email is also at Gmail, just in case you didn't know that, because she didn't say it.
Oh, I didn't say that. Well,
That's okay. I just said it. Now they know.
cool.
You're always welcome to remain anonymous if you choose to send us a story, which please do. And remember, they don't have to be from the Pacific Northwest, even though our show is from the Pacific Northwest. Your stories
Exactly.
could be from anywhere.
Yeah. Like Brussels or Budapest or Bakersfield or Baltimore or Boston.
I'm just Boston.
Yeah.
I like Boston.
Buffalo. Lots of B places.
Yeah.
Which we have not been before.
Oh, wow.
I know, it was a stretch.
Also follow us on all of the socials if you don't want to miss out on photos of the tarot cards, our beautiful altar setups, and a lot of backstage shenanigans.
It's true.
It happens.
Yeah. We have amazing stories also.
We shenanigan constantly.
Yeah.
So.
You can find our website or our link tree in the description of this episode to check out all of the fun that we have to offer, because there's just so much of it.
A lot of it's creepy too.
Yeah.
Creepy fun.
Creepy fun. Creepy cute.
Like us. Yeah. Like us, please. Like us.
You are not the father.
Oh my God, that is so weird. I was like having a dream about the Maury show. Someone saying like, "You're the father," like as I was waking up this morning.
That is bizarre.
That is really weird, right?
Ooh, chilly willies.
If you're a frequent PNW Haunts and Homicides listener, you probably already know we're Birdie ambassadors.
We wanted to take a quick moment to tell you a little bit more about this awesome product.
Birdie is the modern personal safety alarm made for women by women.
In a situation where you feel threatened or unsafe, you can simply activate Birdie's loud siren and flashing light to create a diversion.
Birdie is perfect to carry anytime because the device is lightweight and comes in a variety of colors.
So important. Use our ambassador link and coupon code PNW Haunts and Homicides to receive 10% off your purchase. Like our social media handles, the coupon code is all spelled out, no special characters.
You can find the link and promo code in our show notes or PNW Haunts and Homicides link tree.
Have a safe ass day.